came to the mission in September of 2022. I never stopped thinking about drugs. Left January in 23. Went back out for 3 weeks. Seen more in the 3 weeks than I cared to see. And it was because I'd found God, but I'd turned my back on Him. So I was allowed to come back on February the 2nd. I had a hunger to know Him. I graduated the program in September and stayed on for staff. I will go to FC February the 1st. I was born and raised in Sevier County, Tennessee. My dad died when I was young. My mom did an amazing job raising me and my sister. We was brought up in church, but I didn't know God. I went to church from the day I was born until forever. But I didn't know you could have a personal relationship. I thought the Bible was just for old people to read when they was bored. I was married for 21 years. Me and my ex-husband had 2 wonderful kids. I have 2 grandkids. My family got tired of me. I've been on drugs on and off for 40 years. In December of this year, I went and faced charges where I'd stole some stuff from my family. And like I said, I lost my family April the 22nd, or April of 2022, from my stupidity. My mother's 87, but I know if I don't see her here on earth again, I will see her in heaven because she's a Christian lady. But most people didn't think when I left here to turn myself in Sevier County, I'd be back. They didn't think I'd have a bond. But God's grace and mercy gave me a bond, and I was allowed to come back. I have to go every 2 weeks for probation, pretrial probation. I go to court in February to hopefully get everything situated. I don't want to glorify what God or what I done for the devil. Like I said, I'd done my dirt in Knoxville. Even though I was Sevierville, I would drive an hour, get my coke, crack, whatever I wanted. I was in a relationship for 11 years with a very abusive man, but I loved him. He had issues, I had issues, so it was not good. He died in 2022 in prison. But I was baptized on Memorial Day here at the mission. Adam baptized me, and I'm a new person. I don't want to go back to the old life. The old life is gone. Like I said, when I left the first time, after what I seen, I knew that I don't have another run in me. Once you know God, to go back out, like everyone has said, it changes. I mean, once you know Him and you still continue in the sin life, it's just, it's hard. And you see a lot more than you care to see. But like I said, I staying on for staff. I don't know where God's got me going after I finish my staff training. But me and Him will talk about it and we'll work it out. But just don't give up hope. Talk to the counselors because we really do care. we've all been there. You know, everybody thinks they're being slick, but they ain't been nothing a staff member hasn't done. You know, that's how we know when everything's going on, because we've done it. And just, well, it's been true. Uh, but, you know, here at Crossville, we have so many people that loves and supports us. And like I've said before, you know, our main thing is when anybody comes, teachers, whoever, just show respect. That's all we want, you know. Um, just be willing to do whatever God tells you to do, or the staff or whoever, and that's all I've got.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brandon. I'm 30 years old. My whole life I felt trapped. From the youngest age, you know, when I was little, you know, from my father. He was in the military, and my grandfather, they're all in law enforcement. So back home in my small town, the family name was like so important to them. So like for me being the black sheep was not the best. But at a young age, you know, I was always locked in a room. My childhood was just very graphic, bloody, just beaten all the time, thrown in a room with no bed and rats, and just stuck in there and then trapped. To where at 8 years old, I started taking my dad's pills, and then I was making his mixed drinks. So I was seeing that this alcohol, whatever I'm making for him, is making him feel better and make him forget the things. So why not? It might work for me, because his pills were already working for me. So I started drinking. Before 10 years old, I was already full-blown alcoholic pretty much, and then addicted to his pills, and then smoking weed. And then by 16, I was using meth. I did heroin, just, you know, everything that goes with that whole lifestyle. I was already using. So by 21, I still felt trapped in my reality in life. There was just no escape. Just was so quiet, just very antisocial. You know, I was the guy that I didn't want to sneeze in front of people because I gave them the reason to talk to me. I had to say thank you. I was just, you know, just in a shell, you know, and the Lord, you know, saved me from that. I was just so broken and just such an atheist towards the Lord, and just so angry. Just like, how could I just be going through all this and just so lost? And then he's, you know, he saved me from such a broken place. And being here, I realized like he was with me through that whole time. You know, when I tried to kill myself, I tried to overdose, and just kept waking up and just felt trapped and stuck again. And I was just sick of it. Just, there has to be something different. You know, I'm just keep going down the same old path, same old roads. When I hit 20, 22, 23, I got into cooking. Turns out I was getting pretty good at it. Became a sous chef, and then my chef, he was retiring. I got all of his clients, so then I became a travel chef, and I was helping organizations and businesses and helping with that. But in that lifestyle, there's also more drugs, more alcohol. Got trapped in that type of lifestyle again. Just kept repeating a cycle, and then just kept surrounding myself with that influence. Just hating the world, hating myself. Felt like no matter what, I tried quitting, and I'll do good for like a week or two, and then meet someone else, and then meet someone else. It's like it was kept following me, and then I just like gave into it. You know, like, being surrounded by darkness, you kind of just become the darkness, and I get comfortable in the darkness. It's all I knew. It's all I know. It's about 2 years ago, up in Colorado. You know, I was 3 months before I was getting married. My fiance, you know, came out of her darkness and brought to light she was cheating on me, more than just one man. Didn't want anything to do with that. I tried to forgive her, saying, well, we could move, but she rather just do her own thing. So that brought me back more into addiction and spending thousands and thousands of dollars a week on just nonsense. Felt trapped in that moment again, just like, okay, this is just going to be my life forever. And I was just like, I just want to be alone. And then my aunt and uncle from California, they were like, well, we're moving to this place called Crossville, Tennessee. And it didn't hit me till I got here that there's churches everywhere. There's churches and Dollar Generals about every corner. And, I come from 14,000 elevation. On my way here, the devil did not want me to come to Crossville. I got de-elevation sickness. I was in the hospital a few days. My car was breaking down. I went through 4 different types of storms, sleet storms. So the highways kept closing down. And it took me 7 days to get here, which I'll never make that trip again. The longest 7 days of my life. But once I got here, they were like, you cannot use or drink in our household. I'm like, yeah, no, I got this. But I immediately needed work because I left everything behind. I gave my ex-fiancée, she got everything besides the car. So once I got here, it only took me about 4 days until this dude, he was like, hey, why don't you come over for a Super Bowl, for a game or whatnot, come watch a football game. Went over there, and there's just a bunch of people. They're all drinking. They're all doing cocaine. And I was just like, I don't want to be the only one not doing it. And I'm new. I don't know anybody in this town or this state. So I was like, man, I knew I shouldn't do it, but I did it anyways. And just as soon as I did it, man, I just felt convicted. But then I'm like, oh, well, at least now I fit in. I got some friends and some influences. But it wasn't long after that. My aunt and uncle found out, and then they were like, you need to leave, because they're good, godly people, and they were trying to get me into church. And 6 months of being in Tennessee, they were trying to get me into this mission, but they thought I was from here, so they denied me. And I didn't know that until I was trying to get myself in here. But after that, man, about a year ago, I was so desperate and just so lost. I needed something to help save me. And I went to a church service at Cumberland Fellowship, and they were talking about fasting and how it could get you to the Lord and helps you get closer to the Lord. And I was like, well, man, I'm gonna try this. And so every day I was doing the 21 Daniel fast. And I was like, Lord, every day I would pray, Lord, I would just want to fast. I want to get closer to you. Please put me in a place, an environment, just to get to know you and learn you more. Like, please, I need your rescue. And then it's like 17, 18 days later, I woke up 2.5 hours away in Chattanooga in the hospital. I was out there for 3 days. I was just out. I had no nutrition. My protein levels were down. So all I was eating was C4s and salads. And so I had no energy, but I was still trying to work. But when I woke up, I was just like totally freaked out. Where the heck am I? Why? There's a hospital like 45 minutes away. Why am I 2.5 hours away? My aunt and uncle picked me up, and that night they had a Celebrate Recovery service out here at Redemption Church. And in the service, one of the team leaders is a lady called Sarah Myers, and her husband Anthony. And my aunt was like, why don't you talk to them? Sarah's been through something like similar like that. And I was talking to Sarah and Anthony, and then she told me about this place called the Crossville Mission. And she said, why don't you give me a call tomorrow, and then I'll give you some more information, see if I can get you into some other programs. So I called her, and she was like, well, there's this one that's like, it's 90 days, or the mission's 8 to 10 months, but this 90-day one, you get to work, you make money, you can smoke, you got all these like worldly desire like add-ons, or you go to the mission. It's 8 to 10 months. It's 5.5 hours of this and that. You don't really work, but sometimes, but you got chores that counts for work. And I'm like, in that moment, like I knew, like I have no problems with making money or keeping a job. I had problems with keeping myself still and in the Lord, and I wanted to gain a relationship with the Lord. And so I came to the mission. My third day here, they're like everybody's clapping at everything. I was like, what the heck is this place? It's like, why do they clap at literally everything? We just sing. And I was just so awkward. But then, he gave me 2 Chronicles 29:11, and something about like you've been called to brethren to minister unto the Lord. And so like he was telling me in that beginning stages, like you're gonna spread the word, you're gonna be evangelist for me, and you're gonna speak. And I was the quiet one, like I'm the quietest person, and now he wants me to be loud. And then Jeremiah 20:11, just be still. At trainees, when it hit, like that's when I understood the meaning. You have to fully surrender, and once I fully surrendered, like that's when I fully started gaining that relationship each and every day. And then now he talks to me through my writing. I get to write with the Lord. You know, he he talks to me all the time. Like, I wrap you up in cloth. I surround you with my love, and it gives me a peaceful mind. Like, I should not have the peace and the love I have today. What I've been through, people are just way crazy, but he saved my mind. He saved my soul. I get to give back by being on a praise and worship team. I get to help influence the younger brothers. Staying on, like, there's so much more I need to do for myself and for the people around me. And, I encourage, stay diligent in the Lord and stay obedient, because that's the best thing that's working for me, and it worked for you. Thank you, guys.
Amen. How are y'all guys doing this morning? I know most of you have heard my testimony, just like everybody else, just like they say, everybody else this morning. I mean, we lived a different life, Some of us lived in church, some of us not. I had my family in church. I never went to church. I was very much against it when I was younger, but I never went to church, never knew anything about the Bible and stuff. And I grew up in Washington, D.C. I'm 45 years old, so I grew up right on the edge of Washington, D.C., so right in the big city. My mom tried to raise me and my sister. She did the best she could. But it's expensive living around the city, So, I mean, at age 12, I was basically on my own. I was out. I was already selling, doing what I had to do, make money, selling drugs, already into it big time. I started early into the stuff, and I definitely don't want to glorify anything. I mean, my earliest starts was, a little bit of pot, but then it went into, like, my challenge daily was to, every day as I got older, to see how many different things I could take as far as hallucinogenics and chemical-wise, and how many different things that I could take every day, and how much of them I could take, as much as I could find, and then still control it. And that's what it went for many, many years, I was big in skateboarding and all that, and got sponsored a little bit when I was younger, but I mean, that all got ruined. I went for many years, just the main lifestyle I led was just running drugs and running, doing drugs, running drugs and running, and hustling and selling drugs and running. Being around D.C., once I got around 17 or 18 and started getting into the serious drugs around D.C., everything's federal in D.C., so, once they got DEA and FBI and all them under you, you're under surveillance, and they're sitting outside, like you said, and then sealed indictments, and things ain't fun. Things just when you don't even know, you ain't even been in no trouble, and they just showing up talking about, yep, you in trouble, we got you. Nah, that's no good. With the Lord, and I'll say this, the Lord definitely, once I came here, and actually once I got saved, the fact of never knowing the Lord and never being in church or anything. And once I got saved, and once he showed me where he was with me my whole life and saved me from many long-term prison sentences, death numerous times, it'll amaze you. It'll amaze you. I mean, it amazed me so much because he'll show you. I mean, he'll actually reveal those things to you. I mean, so many years, because my whole thing was, when you're getting hot, when the cops are after you, when things are getting bad. And everybody wants to stick around. They're scared to leave their family or anything like that. I never had any qualms about, okay, it's time for me to straighten up. This has gotten bad. And so I would hop on the Greyhound. I'd take off to another state, by myself. I'd just disappear. Go, try to do it better. Stay sober for a little bit. I get my life together. And I like the way my man Drill put it last night. If I'm this stupid, how am I going to listen to myself? How you going to continue to try to fix yourself when you're the dumb one making the mistakes all the time? But that's what I did. I figured I could go to a new state, I'll do better. And every single time, every different state you take off and move to, it just gets deeper. Like I said, you get deeper into the weight, deeper into the abuse, deeper into the trouble. It's deeper and deeper until finally, it really kind of caught up with me about 5 or 6 years ago. I started really doing some serious time. Couldn't run from it anymore. They had a hold of me, and then once they had a hold of me and doing some serious time in Kentucky State, and that sounds like this just can't be anymore. It was always run. Then I had to be locked in a cage for quite a few years, and man, being so used to being on the run, that's a miserable place. Already knowing that in my mind I was already in miserable places because, the old drugs back in the day was one thing, but once you get into the opiates, that's a different monster. That's a different devil all on its own. And even many times I'd quit cold turkey. I'd quit and move to another state and quit and then get back on it and quit, man, and you just keep saying, what is wrong with you? Why do you, just torturing myself, completely torturing myself. Because if anybody's seen or known anything about coming off that stuff, you take that COVID, you take the flu, you take any one of those sicknesses, multiply it by 10, and that's you doing that intentionally to yourself over and over and over again. I've done it so many times but it's horrible. And I'll tell you, he got me to a place like, they let me out for some reason, 2 Februaries ago, they let me out of jail on probation or parole for something, just out of the blue. I'd done been in there for like 3 years, and then they're just going to let me out, and I didn't know why. So, of course, 2 weeks after I'm out, I end up ODing dead. It takes 6 things of Narcan and hit me with a defibrillator 3 times to bring me back. And, of course, I only lasted like another week before I violated and had to go serve the rest of my sentence back out. But at that point, I was done. I was like, I'm so done with this. I've been in a heroin addiction for over 20 years. I said, I'm just done with this. I can't do it anymore. Tried to start reading the Bible in jail. Tried to start, seeking something different. But, of course, there's no real guidance in jail for that. Everybody, like I said, get that jailhouse religion, but that doesn't mean anything. It's just something to bide your time while you're in there doing time. So wasn't able to really get into it too much. And of course, I get out last September, and I'm trying. I don't want to go back to it. And I think it was about a week and a half after I was out, and I walked into my buddy's house. Next door, wasn't nobody around. The door was wide open. I walk out of my door, my stepdaughter's house, and I walk in, nobody's around. I'm like, man, what's going on? And of course, that one was on the devil. The devil said, okay, let's see. He said, I'm going to see. You want to be done with it? This one's on me. There's nobody around, and there's like a bag, a heroin laying right there on the floor, a big bag. Like, here you go. And this one's on me. And of course, my weak self picked it right up. Thought I was just going to get back to my buddy and be like, man, that didn't work. There I was back on it again until the Lord went through some And it was him, but he went through some serious things to bring me out of this. You know, I went on for the next couple months, just right back into it, into the fentanyl, into the, you know, whatever it was. Then come right around April, me and my girl that I was with for like 14 years, we were staying with her daughter. We were staying at my stepdaughter's house, and it was Easter morning. Like she didn't mess around. She didn't do it. She knew I did it, but I didn't promote it like most people. I kept all my stuff under wraps for the most part. But she knew that I did it, so I kind of had nodded out, and when I woke up, when I kind of came to, she was over on the couch, and she wouldn't wake up. She was sitting there, and I thought somehow she had got a hold of something of mine or something, smoked a cigarette that was in the pack or something, because, I mean, you know, the dust off that fentanyl will kill somebody. And it turns out she had a brain aneurysm and passed away right there. And so, of course, a couple days go by, and my stepdaughter, she gets mad at me, and she's like, oh, she says it's my fault. But, you know, after that, it didn't even matter. I was jamming a half a gram or better in my arm at a time as that straight fentanyl. I mean, it didn't even matter. And that's how the Lord works. It's my uncle who has a church here. Of course, some of you guys know that. He had been doing some things with the mission, and I, of course, hadn't talked to him in like 15 years. I hadn't even talked to my mom in 6 years, because never wanted my family to ever see me in that. That's why I stayed in different states. I always moved around to different states away from them, so they would never see me, you know, just off and running in most all my life. So Mom shows up in Kentucky, and I hadn't even talked to her in 6 years. I was kind of at this point staying behind a Cracker Barrel in Kentucky, and she shows up down here to Kentucky, and just kind of random. I mean, you know, I had called her, you know, after my old lady passed away a little bit, but you know, she just come running right down there, and what are you gonna do? I don't know, you know, but she said, well, what about this place? I guess my uncle had said something about this place, and she said, what about the mission? Just going to this place, going to rehab. And I knew I could never do secular rehabs, you know, that you're going to sit around and talk about drugs, doing drugs all day. No, I'm just going to go do drugs. And so I said, all right, come down here. And she called, and they, you know, gave the whole thing of, you know, you got to do the application, you got to do the blood work and do all this. And she kind of took the phone right there and said, look, I've got him in the car right now. We either coming now, because if he gets back out of this car, I'm probably not going to see him again. And so they said, oh, be here at 7:30, be here in like 4 hours. We started driving. And I kept trying to get her to stop because I still had stuff on me. I wanted to do it and do the last bit of my stuff before I got here. I wanted to get it done, but she wouldn't stop at a gas station. She didn't know I had it on me, but she just wasn't stopping nowhere. She was coming straight here. They didn't even, and when they checked me in, and they're probably not going to like us, but they didn't find that I had it in the stash pocket. I had some left with me in the stash pocket when I got in here. And got it in, was over there, laid over in that room down there for over 3 days, sick, bad sick, and didn't touch it. Didn't touch it. Come up here, and one night, broke down on this stage, and just, you know, I was so done. Asked the Lord to take it from me. I was so completely done. Asked him to take it from me, and he delivered it from me. Travis came up and prayed with me, and I said, I got to give you something. Went downstairs, gave them what I had, and that was another thing. The Lord showed me that if I would have done that last bag, it would have been my last. But that was it. He showed me when I got saved that there was hot spots in that bag, and if I would have been able to finish that bag, that would have either been Mom had me dead in the gas station bathroom, or they would have had me dead down here if I would have touched it. And he's delivered me from it. Yeah, I mean, they always say you'll be a drug addict, but I mean, there's not been since that night, and since I asked him to please take it from me, ain't never been a time that I've wanted it since then, over 20 years. And I know I'm running out of time. Mr. Wordy guy. But that goes along with everything. Staying here and everything. Staying here, staying on the help, staying on. When you make a vow to the Lord, He's going to be with you always. But to give back to Him, the joy at seeing these younger brothers, seeing them come in, being able to help them, being able to help them through trials and help them through that, man, the joy surpasses everything. The joy that the Lord gives you when you find the Holy Spirit and you have all that, and trust, I mean, the demolishes any high you ever have from any drug that you ever do, and no matter how much it is. And I promise you that I tested those limits. And the joy from the Holy Spirit, the joy from the Lord, and the joy from helping other brothers demolishes that by far. But yeah, I'm out of time. I love y'all very much. And yeah, seek your chances. Come talk if you have anything that you need to. I love y'all.
Give your love, honor, and attention to our brother Philip, an AC of the Crossville Mission and the Holy Spirit.
Well, hello, I'm Philip. I am an AC, and I get to be able to do AC again, for I have already graduated staff, and I got to go back for some decisions that I made because of my own selfish desires that were in the flesh that ended up being my own sinful actions. And it all starts with it starts with that thought up here that we decide that we're going to continue to entertain, you know. But it's like, I'll never go back to it. It's just I want to revel in it for a little bit, you know what I mean? But anyways, I came in when I was 24. I've been here almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in March. And my family has lived within Crossville, not in Crossville, but around Crossville for the last 6 years now. And it's crazy how they just randomly found out about it one day. But anyways, so I was an awful kid. Like, all y'all seem to like been really good kids. I was not that kid. I was horrid, and my mom could probably tell you all the stories about that. But I was very rebellious. I was rude. I was mean. I was hateful. I was spiteful. I mean, I was loving too until I hit puberty. That's when it really happened. You know what I'm saying? Puberty just changed everything for me, I guess. My voice still cracks, and I'm 26 years old. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, so at the age of 13. I began to sell myself to older men for many years. For a lot of years I did that. And by the grace of God, I never got caught up in all that trafficking stuff that happens to kids to get caught up in those one moments. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, it's just crazy. But anyways, going through my teenage years, I dropped out of school. My sophomore year, was done with that. I decided I want to go smoke weed with my friends and just live a rebellious life with my friends because they were good for me, you know. They knew what I needed in life. It was not my mother or my dad. They didn't know what I needed. That's a total lie. But anyways, after all that, my problem never really was drugs. It really wasn't. Drugs made the sex a lot more fun and made those parts of my life a lot easier. It was easier to be stupid on drugs, you know. I'm not saying that there was no addiction or attraction to the drugs, because it definitely was there, but that wasn't it. It was definitely a lot of the behaviors and stuff and the insecurities I had in myself and things to that nature. But after the age of 18, right after I turned 18, never had an STD in my life, and the first one I get is HIV. Lord, that was a humbling experience. It has put me in the hospital so many times. I have been on my deathbed by infection multiple different times. It doesn't have to be like that, though, because we've come so far medicinally, thank God, where I can actually stand here today and live and not have to worry about dying of sickness. You know what I'm saying? And through that, I became a horrible person to myself and to others in my addiction. I would say I was an IV meth and heroin user for about 7.5 years. No, because I came here at 26, so 6 years. I keep adding the 2 years I've been here as 8. That's terrible. I've not been using since I've been here, but anyways. Well. So about that. So I get to be in the mission, you know. I graduated staff and all that wonderful things, and I don't know if they like me saying all this, but I had a relapse. I had relapse on one of my weekends home, and I still was best friends with the world. I loved the world. I loved the gay community and how I could probably rediscover myself, but rediscover myself with a much more loving nature, because it was still a lustful nature. I was still holding on to so many offenses. I wasn't giving myself to God. I was waking up here and I was doing what I had to do, you know. And for that, I gave a lot of myself away to the wrong things, and I wasn't able to actually help as I was supposed to. For this is a season that we give back in, and that's something I was not truly doing wholeheartedly. I wasn't being that hospitable spirit of God, which is a divine nature that we have in our heart, that gets to give back and restore y'all for the restoration that he's given through us. You know what I'm saying? And those thoughts I kept entertaining, like, you know, maybe one day I will be successful and I can still just find that guy, fall in love, you know, not it. But started watching about a month and a half into my AC commitment. Started going home. Well, I went home all the time because my family lives very close to here. They only live in Dayton and Parkville, so it's really not that far from here. And, well, one weekend came and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to try some porn out. And that's where it went. It all started with the porn. Something so small ended up, since I couldn't get access to it one night because my sister put blocks on my phone. But I asked her to do that. But, you know, because I was tired of the porn. Having a kid, I'd ask my sister to put pornography blocks on my phone. It's, you know, the step I thought was doing was good for me, rather than being accountable, because we have accountability here, you know what I'm saying? Rather than going to people that actually know me and saying, this is what I'm struggling with, you know? Instead, I waited until after I had a needle in my arm, and then it's like, I have to come back now, so I need to talk to you, Travis. And so we had a little discussion, but anyways, I wasn't surrendered to this process. I'd go in my room, y'all know, I'd hide away for days. I wouldn't really, if I was off, I was off. Unless y'all were acting wild and I had to be here, I was off, you know what I'm saying? And it was just stirring something darkness inside of me. The enemy was getting a hold of me, you know, because I've truly made the decision not to follow God yet. I still had this foot in the world and this foot out of the world, you know, for there's power in a made-up mind. And if you really don't want that life anymore, then you're not going to want it. And you're going to do whatever you have to do in order to overcome that. I've never thought of it like that when Adam said that this morning. We are overcomers by overcoming, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying the part of the program I went through, I did not learn anything. Because if it wasn't for that and the God that we have that is so mighty and powerful working through my life, the amount I let him, I would not be able to stand here and come back in the way I did. Because God definitely helped me in those areas, you know. But it didn't start, as Wendy says, with a bag of dope and a needle. That's just where it came to. Started with the different offenses, not me wanting to look at myself, wanting to still feed my flesh, whether if it was physical, emotional, or mental. I kept giving the enemy that foothold because I was not humbling myself and saying, God, I'm not the God of my life. Instead, I was saying, I am the God of my life. So therefore, I will not resist the devil, so he will not flee from me, and he will enter my heart. That's pretty much what I was saying, completely contradicting the word. But if I humble myself and admit to God, and to maybe whoever else needs to hear it, just for myself, so that pride can die, the Lord can move in my heart, you know. And finally, the devil will flee because I've chose to actually humble myself under God so that my weaknesses can be glorified in his strength. And it's such an experience. And, you know, I didn't leave the mission. I still stayed in the mission, but I have learned more in just this 2 months than I have probably consecutively in the last 14 months. And, I mean, no way am I saying go out and, you know, screw up real hard and come back. Like, oh my gosh, let's not do that. But, you know, I love this because, you know, in 1 Peter 5:9, you know, we have a brotherhood all the way around us, and we get to experience the things that they're also experiencing. We can come together as a body and overcome these things. We can learn from one another rather than have to be so hard-headed and dumb and stupid and go out there and just, you know, willy-nilly our lives and keep looking at ourselves and figure out we're still in the same situation and wondering why. And it's because you never really truly made the decision to give up your life so that God can move in it, you know? You've got to have that personal accountability outside yourself and inside yourself. And I shouldn't be here, honestly. By the grace of God, I did not get transferred. By the grace of God, I did not become a day one probie and have to do all that again, you know? because I should have been transferred like that, no doubts. Day one probie, many things, you know what I mean? But by that, and God's faith that lives inside of us, inside of me as well, I have the confidence to believe that even though I did what I did, in no way do we have to condemn ourselves for the things we did, for we're still walking with the Lord, and we still are a holy, righteous nation. So walk in that confidence. Encourage one another. Because no matter what you did, no matter what I did, we still are the body, and we still have the Lord Jesus Christ and his Holy Spirit dwelling in our hearts. You have the authority to overcome anything y'all want to in this world. Anything. Make the choice to do it. Look at other people. Learn from their testimonies so that you don't have to learn it like that yourself. You know what I mean? And that's 10 minutes. So, yep.